into the easement. The surveyor recommends that the silt fence and erosion control measures be maintained, that the outlet existing and the outlet proposed be moved to the 25-foot behind top of bank and armored. There's 2,500 foot of path that's encroaching about 70 feet into the easement. If it stays, it needs to be reflected with the deed restriction. Brewer ditch is in the process of being studied. We will have the mapping, modeling, a full report on this the first of the year. At that time, then we can begin thinking about what we do as far as drainage impact areas or even two staging. This particular area is on our radar for a two-stage ditch. And it's hard to two-stage ditch when you have a trail 5 feet off the edge of bank. I again don't have a time frame, but I believe that reconstruction is in the near future, and the removal of the trail is going to be necessary in order to do the reconstruction. And I think it should be assessed accordingly. But I'm going to jump to the side and let Kingsbridge speak.
Sure. I have a flash drive. It's okay.
Yeah.
I'd love to talk about. Yeah. While he's pulling that up, David Marks, V3 Companies. I've been here every time presenting the various sections for this one. I'm the engineer of record. I don't see what's in your packets, but as Greg mentioned, we were here in November of last year for section 2. Let's see which one you're pulling up. Can you go back to that folder real quick? Oh, thank you. Okay, so we can stay here for a second. In November, we were approved for section 2. This is just a copy of the approval letter. It talks about, the couple conditions on there. If you'll go to, in that folder, there's another PDF, should say section 2.
Overall.
That one. Yeah, that's a good one. So this is what was presented back in 2004 in November. As you see, it is what you see kind of darkened is what is the overall section 2. The green area I've highlighted just for ease of reference, that is a park area that's being dedicated to the city of Franklin, and that's right along the ditch. That's where the easement runs. The existing outlet that Greg mentioned is the kind of depicted by the line in red. The proposed, which we were approved as part of section 4 back in July, is the blue one. So that's the one that's yet to be installed, which we're fully aware of the 25-foot setback for that outlet, and will comply with that, or at least the developer and the contractor will. The red one is the one that's in. But what I want to make sure we point out is that what you see within that green highlighted area is the trail and the park area itself. So there's a parking area, there's a playground, there's a rectangular dog park area, and then you see the trail that actually follows the ditch itself. And so that was all approved back in November. Since that time, and I think, to Greg's point about confusion with Franklin, with the city, for the developer to turn over lots quicker than trying to build all of this at once, they split it up into 2 sections. So you have section 2 and now section 5. None of the design changed. It's just simply a mechanism for them to build like 30 lots and then bring those online so that the home builder could come in, because there was such demand at this subdivision. And so when we talked back middle of the year about section 3 and 4, we had communicated, that nothing's changed. Everything that was approved back in November is still valid. Nothing's changing. And that's kind of what we've moved on with. They've since built section 5 because it was part of the overall section 2. They just built section, the few lots earlier than the rest of them. So what's going on now, which caused the stop work order, is the work that was approved back in November. But obviously has a Section 5 connotation to it, which I think draws some confusion there. So, um, happy to answer any questions. I will say that when the stop work order came in, they have the trail bed in. They haven't paved, to my knowledge, but it's ready for paving. So that's kind of where they're at. And obviously they can't do anything. Some of the erosion control stuff that was noted on there, I'm not as familiar because we're not out there inspecting. That's the contractor and the developer. And I know they're addressing those and they're able to do so while the stop work order is in place, but they're not able to do anything related to the trail, obviously, until that's lifted and we get, I guess, whatever approvals we may need. So I guess I'll stop there, but I will say that, most two of the three things that we're talking about here are installed for the most part, with one being proposed, and we have, well, obviously we'll comply with the setback. That's also a condition of Section 4's approval from back in July, where we had some outstanding Burke comments, the reviewer comments, and to address. So it's contingent upon that. That was one of the comments that came in. So obviously we have to comply with that and take no issue with that.
Do you have room on this site to get the setback where we need to get the setback? That's my first and foremost question.
Can I answer while you're okay?
Yeah.
Yes. And I should have mentioned this too, just for some added context. Great question. Obviously, we do have the space. I mean, that's a pretty
It's a
substantial
green
park
area,
area, and
yeah.
it's not it's in floodplain. Most of it's in floodplain, so it's not developable in any way. This park was part of a pretty contentious, I would say, negotiation between the developer and Franklin. And the developer actually wished to move the path farther away from the ditch, but this was Franklin's park to essentially decide for them that that's what they wanted. So that point was brought up, to bring the path back closer to the subdivision, but Franklin essentially said no. At least I wasn't involved in those firsthand, but that's what was relayed to
Well,
me.
you see the dilemma we're in for them
Sure.
moving back into the easement.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the
No,
confusion
absolutely.
between us and them, or them moving it into our easement,
Sure.
that creates the problem we're sitting at now.
Sure. Sure.
So, have you had any discussions with the city of Franklin?
Not to date, no.
Okay.
I would say, and I would say that's strictly just because, obviously we're different sides here, but the developers already put in 2,000 and something feet.
2,500 feet
Yeah,
of
right.
trail bedding.
So we were coming here to talk, to discuss this, but there's been no approaching Franklin yet about any of it.
Sounds like we need to. Uh, with Greg saying it, I would say next 5 to 7 years, I imagine we'll look at two-staging that ditch, and I'd hate to put the 2,500 foot of trail in today, knowing that we're gonna tear it out in 5 years. And somebody's gonna be on the hook for that.
Sure.
Now that become the developers, that become Franklin. I don't know. I think they need to get together and talk again.
Sure.
So we would just really ask for it to be moved back out of the easement because that two-stage ditch is gonna eat it up when we put it in. So the setbacks, silt fence is easy. They're gonna go out and repair the silt fence. I'm not too worried about that.
Sure.
The setback, we know the 25-foot setback, uh, which I think you'll accommodate that on the existing one and the new one coming in.
I mean, all I can do is go back and relay.
That's what we're asking.
Yeah. I understand
Okay.
that.
The trail is a bigger piece of the puzzle here.
If I may, I would just ask the question so I don't do a disservice to my client. Given that it was approved previously in this configuration, I guess what's the recourse? We know it's in the easement and we're at the mercy of what happens within that easement. But it was approved in that condition, and I know that's their stance on it.
Mr. Surveyor.
Again, for the record, Greg Cantwell, Johnson County Surveyor. Uh, Again, I understand that there was confusion. Uh, But in the July 1st minutes, it clearly states approval letter for section 2 lists no path or trail within easement or two-stage. Under section 5 will be on along the ditch itself. Basically, I think what we were talking is, it was our understanding that they would come back at section 5 and talk about that trail. Because you can't two-stage ditch with the trail right there. Again, we don't have a timeline, but eventually that trail is going to have to go. And it is going to be an expense to remove it and dispose of the asphalt. In this county surveyor, we're basically, we don't have a magic checkbook out there. We're just holding the funds for those people that utilize that ditch. And they're the ones that will eventually have to pay.
Greg, how wide, do you know what the typical cross section of that two-stage ditch will be? Has anybody looked at that yet, or is it?
No,
premature?
it's too early, but typically we've been working with a 20-foot shelf.
Okay, what will be the total width from the top of bank to top of bank of that two-stage ditch?
You're probably somewhere in the neighborhood, depending on the depth. With the slope, you're probably 35 to 40 feet.
Okay,
I'm confused. So when this originally came before the board in July, and I just don't, I'm asking because I'm confused. Was the trail in question here within section 2 at that time in July?
I mean, we were in the process of splitting it, but it wasn't officially. Yeah, I mean, it was still, we were in the process of.
So, okay, let me ask a better question
Sure,
so I
sorry.
get a clearer answer.
Fair enough.
The board approved section 2 in
Correct.
July.
In November of 2004.
Okay, but I'm looking at your July meeting.
Yeah, the July meeting would have been section 3 and 4. I don't mean
July. What was I'm asking, was what was presented to the board in terms of the location of that trail, was that within section 2 at that time? And did that area at some time later turn into section 5?
Yes, it was
Okay,
within section 2 when we were here. It was officially split after that. In July, what we were
Alright.
here for was just section 3 and 4, though. And that didn't include any of the trail. So it was really just that blue line outlet encroachment.
Well, I'm looking at the July board meeting, says approval letter for section 2. Lists no path.
Yeah, that's I think this is the first time I'm seeing that. I'm a little confused by that myself because I have a copy of the section 2 approval letter from November of 24, and there wasn't a mention of that. So the only contingencies would have been on section 3 and 4 in the July meeting, at least to my knowledge.
Well, this was all part of a motion made by board member Walls, seconded by board member Doherty, and carried at a vote of 3-0. My point is, you can't make an end run around what's in the minutes just by later on changing the numbers
Oh yeah,
associated with that section. That's all I'm trying to understand.
oh yeah, no, I believe. Yeah, I understand that too, and I don't
This
mean
is
to imply that.
this is also saying, as you pointed out, understand section 5 will be on and along the ditch itself. So I can read that as well. What I'm curious about is when this was heard in July, is where that is now in section 2 as it was presented, and that area just got a different number later on. That's,
In
am I making any sense with my question?
Mhm.
Okay,
I would
yeah,
just say
yeah.
in July, section 2 was, we didn't present anything on section 2 or what would be section 5. It was strictly 3 and 4. So yes, it was still part of section 2.
I hear what you're saying, that I'm at a real loss to understand the language in the minutes. All right, okay, I guess you've answered as far as you can answer.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mean to imply also to answer you that we're pulling
That's
it
fine.
around or anything like that. I'm just trying to clarify that, our stance obviously is that we had approval of the work in the easement in November of 24. And what we came in July for was not related to that work. It was in addition to it. It was sections 3 and 4. It was really just the outlet. So that's kind of where my confusion also lies with why section 2 is listed in the minutes for July.
You were here at the July meeting?
I was, yes, I was here to present.
You have no recollection of any of that, of how?
No, I
Not at
don't.
all.
No, nothing related to section, like we didn't bring any
Okay,
material
well,
for that.
It's been a month or two, I understand.
Yeah.
All right.
Greg, would you be opposed to putting both of the shelves of the two-stage ditch, combining it so that's on one side? So you could leave the side of the drain that the trail is on, leave that intact? If it'd be easier to show you.
Yeah, you're talking about putting the shelf on the west side.
Yeah, as long as you have room to still get down the west side for maintenance purposes, why would that not work? I mean, it would I mean, it's still gonna convey the same amount of flow.
Volume wise, that would work. You can still get the same volume by sticking the shelf on the other side. The question is then, you don't have control of that property. That's not under the development. So you would then address that to that particular property owner down the road.
It would encroach onto the other property owner.
Yeah.
But you'd still be within the regulated drain easement.
Correct.
You have control over that, right? So
We have control, but when you two-stage, then you have to compensate for the property owner not being able to use that section for agricultural purposes.
so what if,
It takes it out of crop production.
okay, so wouldn't for how long would that last, compensating for, would that last for 5-year period? Like what are the terms of that?
No, he's talking about money.
Yeah,
So here's the law as I
how long would you have
understand.
to pay?
Yeah, here's the law as I understand it, because I dealt with this before. In a reconstruction, courts have held that if all you're doing is relocating the drain from one area of a person's land to another area, and you're not expanding the footprint of the drain, no additional compensation is required, because essentially the landowner hasn't lost any land. He's gaining the land where the drain used to be, and he's losing the land where the new drain's going to be. But the area of land is always the same. I think what Greg's saying is here, to two-stage it, you're going to have to take additional area from someone who isn't now subject to that easement. Right?
They are subject to that easement, but they're not part of this particular project.
I mean, what is that? Oh, you mean they're not owned by the developer of Kings?
Correct.
I understand that.
So
So
we're still within our easement rights.
you'd still, yeah, you would still be within the easement if you shifted. I'm asking.
At this point, I'll have to say yes, because it's a 75-foot,
Right.
and surely we can get 40-foot shelf from that.
But then, of course, you would then be pushing out the easement further. If it's 75-foot top of bank, and the bank moves, even though the bank
Oh,
moves
true,
with
yeah,
them,
it goes to the top of the bank, yeah.
just imagine like a bar between the edge of the easement and the top of the bank. You shift it,
Yeah.
you shift the top of bank, you've pushed the easement out in an equal amount, which I think then would entitle that landowner to come in and ask you to pay him because he's losing land that he otherwise wouldn't have lost. So
Yeah.
it could be done, certainly, but it would have to be acquired. That whatever that additional width is, 20 feet, 30 feet, whatever you need, it would have to be acquired because you do not have an easement.
Okay.
And after it's changed, the landowner has less land
Mhm.
that's not subject to the easement. So he's lost something. You know, whereas if it was just the same width, put on a different place in the same guy's land, there wouldn't be any compensation. He hasn't lost anything or gained anything. It's just been shifted.
Okay.
I have a question because it sounds like this is not going to be resolved today, right?
I was just gonna make, if they can take care of the setback on the ditch outlet and the silt fence, take care of those two items. And then I think it's gonna take a joint meeting between you guys, developer Franklin and us. Sitting in one room, because I'm not gonna bounce back and forth from meeting to meeting to meeting to meeting. Just sit down and try to figure this out.
Okay, so it's not going to be resolved. So my question then to Greg is, at what point will that stop work order be lifted, if at all? Because I'm sure the developer would like to know what he needs to do in order to get back to work.
That's why I'm trying to get the setback and the silt fence fixed. And he can continue on if there's not a problem with, we have the ground to move that ditch or the walking path back. And then decide on who's comparable for the cost. Which be the developer of Franklin, I would assume at this point, so. But I need to set into a room to hold, or somebody, Greg set in there in representation of us. But that, I'm not gonna bounce back and forth from once a month meeting to once a month meeting to once a month meeting, and you don't want that either.
Yeah, I can tell you it doesn't work for my client.
Yeah, and I understand that. So that's my recommendation tonight, to sit down and figure it out with them and show them what we've got. See, we've got plenty of room to move it. But Franklin, of course, wanted more green space, so they moved it closer to the ditch. You guys took that approval, I'm sure, from Franklin. We were, like Greg said, we're the stepchild out here.
I can appreciate
So-
that. A question, if I may, what timing wise, is there a path to resolve this between now and looking at the 5th of November? When's the next, I don't know when the next meeting is.
I think in the next week or two, you can set, if you can herd the cats together in one room, yeah.
Is there any additional development going to be occurring in that park area?
No, none. It is
So
actually
it's
set
done.
aside
So-
for floodplain and we have a pretty significant net positive floodplain compensation in that area. So it's
So no structures, no
No,
additional
none.
foundations, the
No.
trails in, and that's it.
no, yep, trail only, passive use.
Okay.
That's why I'm trying to get him back to work a little bit while we work on that trail over there, because there's nothing heating this from moving other than who's gonna pay for what's been done.
Sure.
You may not know this, but was the plan to dedicate that area to the city by way of a deed or a dedication?
I
Or the
believe
city
so,
would
but
end up owning it?
I believe so. Yeah, I mean, there's a set agreement between them. So I believe that
Versus
the city will have,
development
Ownership.
maintained, it's gonna be
correct, yeah.
given over to the city and it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the only portion, there's a lift station that's separate from this, but that's the only portion that I think the developer or the homeowners association will be responsible for, maintenance wise and all of those things, access rights.
What's your time frame on, I don't know if you can answer this, on getting that inlet pushback or outlet pushback 25 feet and silt fence repaired?
Well, I know they were looking to install a new one. So they would do that work at the same time to change the one that's in place. That's the one you're talking about. Yeah, I mean, they would do that at the same time. So it's imminent work. I mean, all of this was imminent work until the stop work order came in. So you were talking days.
Okay.
And my last question, I think the potential of having to relocate the trail is not going to affect the developer moving forward with his subdivision development plans.
From a timing perspective, yes, just because the developer isn't they are the developer of the land and the lots to a pad condition, and they're not building the homes. So there's a turnover that happens. They sell to in this case it's Lennar. They sell to Lennar, and Lennar is the one that builds all the homes. So there is a timing component to that. That was the reason that they wanted to split it technically into sections 2 and 5, just because they needed to get 30 some odd lots online first, rather than all 90 or however many it is.
But, oh, okay, but I guess my question is, if the trail is relocated,
Mhm.
that relocation won't impact building the houses and developing the subdivision. It would be relocated within that park area, wouldn't it?
It will not impact the homes themselves, no, but
Does
The-
impact the
it does
contractual
impact the-
agreement with the
the
site
site.
developer and Lennar and Franklin and us.
yeah,
It does affect that.
yeah. It doesn't change anything in terms of what Lennar is purchasing, sure. But the timing of that, certainly. Which is essentially where I was coming from with the question of, can this be resolved prior, or do we have to come back to another drainage board meeting for, an official, I guess, new approval, in November, just because that does impact the timeline pretty detrimentally.
Well, if let's suppose that something can be worked out where the trail is pushed away from the top of bank, but still, from a development standpoint, from making Franklin happy, it's still going to be in the easement. Okay, but everybody's okay with that. Okay,
Mhm.
see what I'm saying? I'm just throwing out a number. You push
Sure.
it back 40 feet, where you're still in the easement, but everybody's good with that. You're still going to have to come back to the drainage board to get permission to encroach into the easement to the extent you are encroaching. Even if it's a foot, you got to get drainage board approval to encroach into the
Mhm.
easement.
Yeah, and just
But-
for my clarification, that takes me back to, I mean, technically we have that approval from November.
Well, if that's your
4.
client's position, then obviously we're not going to reach an agreement here.
Sure, sure. No, I'm just, I don't mean to be argumentative. I'm just
I know
asking the
your client-
questions.
You're on.
That's why I said you set everybody down in a room and you figure it out.
Yeah, I'm a lawyer. I will understand that you have to serve your client.
Sure.
Okay, so,
I can appreciate that.
but if that's your client's position, it's gonna be a lot harder to settle this matter. But, I guess time will tell.
So let's say taking that one step further, there is a happy medium where we're still encroaching, but it's agreeable to all parties.
You would still
So
need to come back.
We'd still need to come back. We can't.
Can
roll
we,
back.
let me ask you this, Roger, can we ratify it? I mean, they're still in the easement right now. Can we ratify a change by moving further back into the easement? Can we ratify it at the next meeting so it keeps them on a time frame? If Greg and a representative from the
Yeah.
drainage board sets on there,
I don't see any reason why it can't be done after.
because obviously it's still either gonna be close or in the easement. We just gotta figure out who's gonna move it.
Mhm.
So certainly you can,
And I'm just trying to buy them time so they can
Understand.
continue to move and try to get a little clarity for his client. And if he sets in the meeting, he sets or she sets in the meeting, whoever the principal is, needs to be in the meeting,
Mhm.
not somebody else that has to go back to them.
Sure, sure.
Understood?
Completely.
Okay, so I'm not gonna play that game. If they're in the room, we'll get it figured out. Surveyor, engineer will be in the room. We'll figure it out, come to a happy medium, figure it out, done. We can bring it back, whoever the representative is, and ratify it at our next meeting. That way you continue on when you get that approval within the next, I'd say within the next 10 days, we could meet.
Okay.
Or somebody can meet with them.
yeah, you can't delegate that authority to do that to the surveyor. Consenting to encroachments within the drainage easement is a non-delegable task of the drainage board. On the other hand, if the developer feels comfortable moving forward, if you will, at his own risk, based upon the surveyor saying to him, I'm good with this, I will recommend it to the board for approval, then the answer is yes, they can move forward. And there is a slight amount of risk, though, obviously, if the board doesn't agree with what the surveyor recommends.
You get in a car and drive down the road, you got risk.
Right. I'd say
So-
very little risk,
Very,
but
yeah.
some risk.
But I would say somebody from the drainage board would be sitting in there, also have the drainage board's interest in mind. And would know, I mean, you're getting a general consensus with these guys. We can take consent with these guys if they feel comfortable with that. I mean, you've heard what's been placed out in front of you.
Well, I could agree that they can move forward if they agree to move it out of the easement.
Yeah, well, or close to it. They might move it back 40 feet. It might still be in, but we would never encroach upon that with a two-stage ditch. And I'll be long gone if we go to a three-stage ditch. What do you feel like, Mr. Engineer, Mr. Hoover?
I feel like this is not planning engineer ground, but
That's the easy one.
yeah, but if you know, it makes sense that if you're gonna agree to move it back and you have a consensus, they would be able to do the work, continue what they're doing with.
We're trying to save somebody money down the road because that's gonna get tore out.
Yeah, and if that's the plan, you would still have to come back to a meeting for the board to ratify the approval that the surveyor gave you 3 weeks ago or whatever. So you'd still have to come back to the meeting. The question is, when can you actually start moving forward if you think you have a deal?
Mhm. And I mean, from my standpoint, I mean, I think I appreciate the offer. I mean, that makes perfect sense to us. I think that solves a lot of the timing related issues. I don't think it'd be an issue to say, move forward at your own risk and do whatever we need to do with the path, whatever that agreement is, and then come back to formalize it in any way in November. That shouldn't hinder their timeline to get Lennar or whatever it is they need to get Lennar.
Okay, so I'm back to a question I asked some time ago. At what point in this process will the stop work order be lifted? I think your clients would want to know that as well.
Sure. Yeah.
What are your feelings, Mr. Surveyor?
I would feel comfortable at a point where both outlets were either moved or agreed to be moved 25 feet back and talk about the trail. At that point,
We can get something, I'll leave it to you, Mark or David, to put a meeting together.
I'll spearhead that. Yeah.
Okay. So I would say within the next 7 to 10 days, get something sent out to the surveyor. He can relay it to us, or we'll dedicate somebody to sit on there.
So just for your information, next week I'll be gone. I'll be happy to attend the meeting. The following week I'm available. Just the sooner you let me know when the meeting is, the better.
Okay.
Because I don't want to have any conflicts either. I want it to be a planned meeting where everybody can attend, not just someone telling me I need to attend. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Sounds like Andrew stepped to the plate on this one.
hey,
Since he's our engineer, I'll let him step to the plate.
As long as it's planned, if you send me an invitation that I need to be at a meeting and I've got a dump and I'm booked already, that's not gonna work for me. People do that all the time and they don't consider if I need to be there, please coordinate with me.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. No, we'll coordinate calendars for all parties.
and I do have a question for Roger. If it is an encroachment, would it be a deed type encroachment? Similar to what we would do if it was a garage or?
I would say, yeah, in order to protect everybody down the road, so everybody knows 100 years from now, it's okay for that path to be wherever it is. There should be something put on the dedication agreement to the city, acknowledging that, yes, there is a structure located within the drainage easement. And that structure has been permitted by the Johnson County Drainage Board. That protects the city and any subsequent owner. I don't know who else would own the park, but you never know, but it would protect the city.
I've got another question. Let's just, state statute says 75 feet from top of bank on each side, right?
Wrong.
Can we not reclassify this to where this doesn't change? So instead of having 75 feet from the top bank, it's 25 or 35 along that one side. And then that way you could keep the asphalt trail, you'd have a
I
different
don't
looking,
think so.
you can't read, like, whether it's classifying it as an,
Well, it's 75 feet from top of each bank.
yeah,
So you can't satisfy that by having 140 feet on one side and 5 feet on the other.
but we can't modify that. We can't say we're holding 75 on this side.
No, I
We're
don't.
not changing the
no.
overall width.
Statute.
So it's 150 feet, 150, 75 from this. We would not be encroaching upon,
Anybody's land, we would not be taking any more easement.
right? It would be narrowing
It's just
The
we don't
distance
have 75 feet.
from the
back.
top of bank to the, it wouldn't be 75
I'm not
feet from
looking
the
at
top of
this,
bank. It would be like 45 feet.
Well, that statute says it's 75 feet though. You can't,
We can't do anything to supersede that.
no. Not on an open,
Roger, he might be thinking of an urban drain.
yeah, an urban drain, you can cut it down.
Yeah, can we not reclassify it and get away with that?
Good.
That's surveyor issue. I don't know.
And then that way you could keep the asphalt trail and it's a kind of a potentially win-win for everybody, right?
Well, except when it goes to two stage, it's gonna, okay, you're then gonna have to,
It would be all on that one side, yeah.
and you're gonna have to acquire additional right of way from that landowner.
On any two-stage ditch we're going to complete in the future, we still have to buy right away from those owners. Am I correct in that statement? Or do we stay within the confines of our easement now and build a two-stage ditch? Or do we have to now go and buy easement on both sides of these ditches that we take over and put two-stage ditches?
There's a potential to have to purchase additional property.
Potential, what does potential mean?
Potential means that if you can't negotiate, you can always do an urban.
So basically, just so the board understands, any two-stage ditch we would do would be an urban drain. To get away from the statutory
Having
requirements,
to move, yes.
not having to purchase more right of way on each side of that ditch to maintain the 75 foot.
Well, the bottom of the ditch might be narrower. And then, I mean, some of the ditches are real wide now. You're gonna put a slope and
Yeah,
the top might not change with the two stages.
yeah, the top would change, but the ditch itself would remain because you have to pull back from high water mark. And then leave the ditch where it is untouched.
Okay. Well, if we urbanize that drain, then it could potentially would be a win-win and nobody moves anything. The trail stays where it's at. Put it lopsided on one side. Does that make sense to you? You're still carrying the volume. It's just one-sided.
It would address the volume.
It would still carry the volume if you do.
Yeah. You could make it work. If I'm attending the meeting, that's what I'm gonna wanna know, can we reclassify it and not adversely impact the adjacent property owners to the west where we've got a purchase ground? If we can get away with this, to me, that's the simple solution, that best solution.
Yeah.
I think it's simpler to move the trail. All that.
We'll go to the meeting, we'll figure it
Yeah.
out. Let's go back to ground one.
Monetary wise, I guess I should say, when you throw in money, that's a different story.
And you're throwing in money now. with
Yeah.
the path. Okay. Are we clear as mud?
Clear as mud.
Yeah, I'm still not certain
We got the lawyer looking in the book now.
Well, I may not find my answer right
Right.
this instant. Cause I'm still not certain
What do you think?
reclassifying it to an urban drain is gonna solve the problem. But I've got to read the statutory language on 75 feet top of bank and reducing the,
For the time being, for
Easement
the
in the
meeting's
urban
sake,
terrain.
and everybody sitting here watching the cartoons that's going on. And
So-
not understanding what we're talking about.
what kind of maintenance issues come with narrowing that down to the urban drain easement?
I'll have to cross the ditch, cut the other side.
Okay,
Maintenance wise, the trail wouldn't be under my way.
okay.
If I had to scoop, I'm gonna throw it on the trail. And that's their problem.
I'm sure they'd have a truck there picking it up.
I'm sure they would probably provide a truck.
We'll
to
have a
pick
truck
that up.
somewhere.
There's just
But
no way,
maintenance wise, the trail's not in the way.
but there's no way to shrink the easement to the point where the trail would not be in it.
Correct. It
As
has to
it
be
sits
5
now.
foot. Yeah.
I mean, we know that. So that means that you'd have
It's gonna be.
you'd have a 1 foot easement on one side from the top of the bank
I don't,
in order to keep the trail out of the easement.
I don't think even under urban, you can shrink it that small.
Right, my question is how much do you have to shrink the easement? Is it even possible
I don't
for
think it's
the, for
possible.
the trail, no matter how much you shrink the easement
It's gonna be an encroachment.
into whatever the new easement's gonna be, whether it's an urban drain or not?
Correct.
Okay,
Still goes from the top of bank 35 feet over. If you
but
don't do anything on the park side and you do on everything over on the other side, then I think what Andrew is talking about, you have an existing 75-foot line on that side. If you put the, if you dig out on that side and after you're done, you declare it an urban drain, that 75-foot line doesn't move, or maybe it moves in 5 feet, gives the property owner 5 feet back. But it's still, then it becomes 35 feet. There's still a 30-foot encroachment onto the swale or of the trail on that side.
yeah, so the drainage board would have, sounds like the drainage board's gonna have to approve an encroachment no matter what happens with the total width of the easement.
That's what I'm saying. We just go ahead with what we stated prior, get silt fit fixed, get the outlets moved back 25 feet. That, I think we can give approval to go once that's done, and we'll set the meeting in the next 10 days and we'll solve this other problem. Cause it's not gonna get solved tonight,
Sure, yeah.
so. That would be my motion, and then we can come by and ratify it at the next meeting and you can come in and we'll be quick. So.
Second.
Good with that?
Yes.
Okay. I guess we have a motion in a second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thanks for your time.
Joe. Okay, next item on the agenda is the R.A. Alexander tile discussion.
That's one too.
I'm not done with my report.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry about that.
You took a big curve on that report.
Wanted to talk to you about the HO Canary impact drainage area. We passed that out and talked about it at the last meeting about coming up with a resolution to have an impact area as far as the discharge amounts along the Canary. We've worked with Roger and the county attorney, and they've determined that we actually, instead of a resolution from the drainage board, need to take it to the county commissioners. So what I'm going to ask is the board's permission to address the county commissioners with this.
That you just need a motion to do so.
So move.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Not done yet. Youngs Creek watershed. Um, I've got maps if the board want a closer map. This is what we've been talking about the last 3 meetings. With regard to Bargersville.
Thank you.
Just to refresh everybody, this is, we had a couple of municipal subdivisions come in about 2 months ago. And in them, it was evident from the public comments that there is possible non-capacity of those ditches. And particularly, they were talking about the Roberts and the Alexander, which are both regulated ditches. So the board asked us to come back and look at this entire area. And we renamed this the Youngs Creek watershed. Because all of these different watersheds do drain into Youngs Creek. What I'm asking for today is the board's permission to address the commissioners with a recommendation that we extend the Brewer regulated drain. Currently, this purple is the Brewer, but it stops short before it actually hits Youngs Creek. So there's an area that's not regulated. This would also, part of the recommendation would be, get lost here. To establish the Gilmore as a regulated drain. The Gilmore is this brown area that is part of this whole watershed, but it is unregulated at this point. And then the third would be the remainder of what is actually Youngs Creek itself. In order for us to have a hearing to talk about establishing those to be regulated drains, there's a 10% of the people benefiting would need to petition, or a municipality such as the commissioners. So what I would like to do is approach the commissioners and explain this watershed concept and ask them to ask us for a hearing on those 3 watersheds. What would happen then if the commissioners formally request a hearing? We'd come back to the board, we'd set a hearing date, we'd send out notices, and we actually would have a hearing about those becoming part of a watershed. That being said, if all that comes about, in that watershed, we would have all the municipalities. We would have Bargersville, Greenwood, New Whiteland, and Franklin as part of this conversation at some point. So that's what I'm asking is more permission to approach the commissioners with that.
The only thing I would add is you meet individually with all these commissioners prior to the meeting. So they'll have a concept and an understanding of this, not in a taking up public time. So I would meet individually and just explain to them what you're doing. So instead of walking into a public meeting.
Okay.
That would only be the thing, but yeah, I mean, it makes sense if you're getting this back, both of them put this together. Or did you put this together?
We put this together.
Has Burke reviewed it?
They have not, they're currently working on the brewer portion of this.
It might be worthwhile to have them look at this whole concept.
Perhaps maybe have them do the presentation.
So. I'll move to approve him moving forward.
Second. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Uh,
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
That's the end of my report.
No way.
Yeah.
you've been 1 hour up there.
Okay, so we really can move on now?
Yeah.
Okay. Next item is the R.A. Alexander tile discussion. Sir, if you want to come to the, Greg, did you want him to open up?
Um. Did we not have on there the US 31
Oh, new.
Worthington Road?
Did we,
Mass grading public
oh, we
infrastructure.
talked about,
It's on my agenda.
It's
yeah, it's on my agenda. We didn't talk about that?
No, we did not.
Okay. I apologize. Next item is US 31 Worsville Road mass grading, public infrastructure.
For the record, Greg Cantwell, Johnson County Surveyor. This is a US 31 Worthington Road. Belanti Construction Company has requested 2 temporary crossings of East Grassy regulated drain. This site work, its discharge and a permanent crossing have been previously approved by the board. Surveyor recommends a 6-month temporary crossing be granted, and that would be 2 of them. We would request a $25,000 bond for each of them. And we would also ask for a 48-hour notice before entering the easement.
Okay, does anyone in the audience have any questions or comments on this? Okay,
I'd move for approval for a temporary crossing.
Second.
all in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now we're on to the R.A.
Now,
Alexander.
Mr. Sa. Again, Greg Cantwell, Johnson County Surveyor. This property is, we talked about this at the last meeting.
Yes.
It's owned by Brad Taylor. Mr. Taylor has given Mr. Sy permission to speak to the board. They're basically requesting a vacation of the R.A. Alexander tile. Do you guys have a picture of this in front of you?
We talked about this, but it serves the some upstream drainage areas, so it needs to be, I think we talked about, if anything, it needs to be moved to the west.
What,
Because the map shows that it drains properties north.
correct? What they're requesting is to be able to vacate that tile.
Okay.
It would still be in the watershed. But if they vacate it, then they can move that tile and not be affected by an easement for that tile. If they build something, they're gonna have to reconstruct that tile just because the possibility it's being used as a mutual drain by other people. But by vacating it, you get rid of the easement, which helps as far as you don't have to move it so far.
Okay, so vacate the tile, right? Vacate the easement and the tile would just get relocated to the west side.
Correct. What we would need to do is to approve a hearing date. And of course, they have to give a 30 to 40-day notice. So that would be a December 2nd hearing date. And then we would send notices out. And then anybody being affected would then come in and could speak about vacating.
Are you vacating and I was looking at something. Are you gonna vacate and relocate or just vacate?
We're gonna just vacate, depending on what they eventually do with it. If it's vacated, then they can move it.
they can move it, but
Yeah,
all I'm getting at is the procedure, the
if we
process.
vacate it, we wash our hands of the location.
Right, you're not, otherwise you're basically doing a reconstruction, if
Correct.
you're just gonna move it. But you're not saying that you're gonna move it, it's gonna get vacated, and if they want it moved, they can
They
move
can
it.
move it.
Gotcha, okay.
So it's not unusual to have a regulated drain and then you go through a parcel that is, it's not.
I don't know if it's
But-
usual or not, but there's nothing wrong with it.
Okay. I saw,
You know, I mean, yeah,
okay.
I mean, it either is or isn't a legal drain. I mean, you can have segments of a legal drain, you know, like this segment's a legal drain, the next segment's not.
This guy's probably dissected.
So if
So when I'm hearing, oh, it's just a straight vacation.
So let's say it's two properties down the road after he leaves, somebody it just doesn't take care of it. We're adversely impacting the people upstream, but we don't have.
That's why you have the hearing.
You still need to put it in an easement of some kind. If you have if you're not vacating the entire drain and you're bringing it onto private property, if they don't maintain it, you still have to have some kind of mechanism where you, as the county, can protect your regulated drain upstream and can get in the easement and affect repairs and then assess the property share repairs if they're not doing it.
This is what they want to vacate, but it has to go up as this guy.
So there'll be no way for us to. Okay.
There's that. I guess it's over here. See, the dot that is.
Is that it there?
Yeah. So we can bring that up to here.
Drains, drains.
So. Yeah. So you just want a hearing? Approved hearing?
Yes.
Okay. I will move on it with a condition, so everybody's under the understanding, if you do vacate, we do move this, we'll still have an easement on that. Just so in case down the road we have problems with it, how can we enter private property to fix that?
Well, you can't spend GDI money on a private drain.
If we have an easement.
No, it's either a legal drain or it isn't.
Okay.
I mean, the county has lots of easements. That doesn't mean they're responsible for subsurface construction or drainage on that property.
Then if something goes wrong on this property when we give the vacation, the people upstream are screwed.
Yeah, having an easement doesn't give you the jurisdiction to maintain a legal drain. That is for the benefit of,
I got a little problem with that then.
because you're not getting any money for it, for one thing. You're taking, I mean, it's not part of the assessment, it's vacated.
Can it be a reconstruction and so he would pay for that to be reconstructed under the
And it
surveyor's
remains,
purview?
yeah, it remains a legal drain in its new location.
Okay,
Yeah,
Location, okay. all right.
that's the only way you can ensure that the county's gonna maintain that, is that it
Yep,
stays
yeah,
as a
that-
legal drain.
If I can explain the reason for us asking for this. Where we want to put the structure, the easement runs through that.
yes.
So it doesn't matter to me whether the drain stays there or not. What matters is the access to the easement. So instead of being 75, I'd like to have more easement. So if that means moving the drain, but still having the easement, that would be a different solution. You can have the easement, I just need that space
You
to
need
put
that
the
space for that.
structure there, exactly.
Well, the
And
easement
if-
would be released for the drain that it's located.
Yeah.
It would be gone. It wouldn't, wouldn't be there anymore.
The easement falls, that's right.
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Well, if the drain's moved, the easement moves with the drain.
Yes, sir.
So,
And that's what I'm asking, that by moving that easement, it allows us to proceed with our intent.
yeah, you just want the drain moved. Basically.
That's one solution, vacation is another solution, changing the setback would be a solution, or if you have others, you gentlemen are the experts, I'm listening.
Is there, I mean, it can be relocated on his site
Yeah.
and accommodate
Way
his
of this
building
structure.
plans.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's what,
Okay. That'll be brought up in the hearing.
it'd be so it'd be really wouldn't be a vacation, it'd be a reconstruction. Because you're gonna end up with a legal drain there. just at a different location. So you're basically reconstructing that section of the drain to another location.
And
You're
just so
right.
that I'm clear
So
on the
so
cost,
it's not a vacation, you're not vacating anything.
sure.
You're just moving.
Yeah.
It's a relocation of the drain, with the drain carries the setbacks, I understand that,
Right,
not a
right.
problem. Cost, who is responsible?
Should be you.
Just wanted to clarify,
Yeah,
I
would be-
assume so, but presumption's never a good answer, so.
It would be you, yeah.
And would it be something that I do, or the county arranges and does everything and I just cut the check? That one.
That's a Greg deal.
Yeah, if it ends up being a reconstruction, again, we would come back to the board with our reconstruction plans for approval. We'd have to have a hearing, even
Right.
though it would just be with one person. But we'd still have to have a hearing. My question is, even since this is a tile, it's statutory 75 feet center line of the tile. In order to keep it completely on this property, we would move it all the way over to the west property line, but it would still be 150 feet wide.
I'm
My
not sure.
question is, would that be far enough?
I believe so. I can double check my math, but I believe so. You give me a second. I think it's 350 foot wide property, if I remember that correctly.
That would be measured from the center of the tile. There's no bank to measure from.
Tile would sit 75 feet up.
See.
I'm gonna move to set a hearing.
It's all-
Yeah, we just need to move. I'm gonna move to set a hearing for December 2nd.
We basically don't.
Discuss more, but at that point, figure it out.
That over here.
Okay, that's it.
Okay, so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oh,
That's it, right?
Oh,
we've got somebody that.
Just a real quick question, the owner of the property.
okay,
I've spoken to 2 or 3 people here, and one gentleman said that it could be relocated to the west. And there would be a 35-foot on both sides. Is that? Am I incorrect on that?
I think Roger's looking that up.
I was told it won't be a clay tile because it's too expensive, so like a piece of 5 or something like that, so.
Hang on.
I believe the only way we can reduce an easement is to declare it urban. And I don't know if we can do an urban tile.
He's on overload tonight.
We're in that book up.
Yeah, it's 75 feet from the center line of any tile drain.
But if it was a BCD pipe, is that the same thing as a tile drain?
I'm
It
sorry.
is?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, an urban drain, yeah, you can shrink that down.
Is reclassifying it as urban, is that an option? An easier
Well, it'd be
option.
25 foot or 15 feet from the center line. If it's reclassified as urban.
That would be available, but is it possible to reclassify? And if yes, what's the uplift that one has to do? Well, that's getting approval from anybody that's upstream, certain radius. I don't know what the procedure is to get that reclassified, or is it just up to board's discretion?
Was that to me? I'm not sure I heard it.
Yeah, how does he get it reclassified to urban?
Well, that's a surveyor's call.
Yeah,
That's not a drainage board call. That's a Greg call.
And I don't think we've ever converted a field tile to urban. So I would have to look up, can we do it?
Yeah, well, it says this section applies to new regulated drains established after September 184 and to urban drains. And I know the urban drain statute just says if certain criteria are met, the surveyor can designate it as an urban drain. And if that happens, except as provided in F, which doesn't apply, the drainage board, this is drainage board action, may reduce the 75-foot right-of-way requirement of subsection A to any distance not less than 15 feet from the center line of any tile drain is measured at right angles. So, and the other option is not classified as an urban drain, but if it's far enough away from whatever he's going to build, the surveyor could recommend an encroachment. And you keep your same wide easement, just record an acknowledgement of an encroachment. There's two ways to skin the cat. If Greg feels it's just not subject to being, if Greg feels from an engineering or surveying standpoint that he just can't in good faith reclassify that as an urban drain, you can still grant an encroachment.
Yeah.
And this board has the ability to grant the encroachment.
Yeah, the board grants the encroachment. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now
It's another one that's clear as mud.
We didn't,
we're getting into new territory here.
we didn't take any.
You didn't take a vote. We just sit here. And we guess not.
I thought we had just said hearing.
That's what we're doing. For
Okay,
December 2nd.
okay, gotcha.
Okay.
Okay.
Now we just need to move.
Okay. Okay, you guys ready to vote for a public meeting?
Step
In a second.
Can,
Step out for that next.
Okay.
can we on this last one, table action so that we can put it on next month's agenda? And between now and then, I'll be able to meet with the property owner and we'll determine if we can make it an urban. And at the next meeting, we would be able to adjust the easement if needed.
So no here.
So no action.
No action.
Okay,
So you don't even want to schedule the reconstruction hearing at this point?
I do not.
Okay.
Okay. No action. Easy.
okay. So we're ready to move on to the next.
Okay. You can go.
Next item is DR 25-000 3596 Dollar General Development. Yeah, are you Rodney Parrott?
I'm Dave Peters representing Rodney and with Overland.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm Dave Peters with Chamlin and Associates. We're out of Peru, Illinois. We are seeking approval for a preliminary plat for a Dollar General development at the intersection of East 300 South and Old US 31. Drainage wise on this property, there's a culvert under the proposed entrance on the north side of the site, and then also a detention basin on the south end of the site, both of which will end up draining to the west ditch along South Old 31. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
For the record, Richard Hoover, planning engineer. We saw this originally in May and nothing has changed. There was a problem with public notices. This is a commercial minor subdivision. I believe we're going for both preliminary and final. They are doing detention. The detention discharges meet with our ordinance. The emergency spillway also meets with our ordinance. All the storm structure materials are within the technical standards. The drainage easements shown on the plat are acceptable. And the water quality calculations also meet the requirements of the technical standards manual. They've requested no waivers. We recommend approval, but I would also like to note that although this is called the final drainage approval, they still will need to come and get permits. And they will need to submit construction documents. And this will reappear before the board once that's done. It'll go through technical review committee and the board will have to approve the plans.
does anybody in the audience have any questions or comments? Sir, if you could just step to the podium and state your name and address.
My name's Josh Van Meter, 2989 South Old US Highway 31. And my main concern with this would be, we know this was a livestock barn for 67 years and this field was used to house livestock. So I'm just curious if testing was done to make sure there's no pathogens, or anything in this soil that is going to get into
It's not a requirement.
get into our water source. We're all on well water out here. I don't know if this board is who I need to talk to about this, or if that would be the planning commission.
Yeah, that is,
Probably Board of Health.
Okay, that, all right,
That's who that would be.
okay. Possibly EPA.
I would start with the Board of Health
Okay,
and talk to them, and they'll give you recommendations or advice on what if and or.
okay,
So-
thank you. My concern is I've got kids, and when they start doing construction and pushing this dust around, I don't want my kids breathing in harmful contaminants, or I don't want these contaminants getting in our waterway or washing into the field on the west side and getting back into our food chain. And so, okay, thank you.
I would say Board of Health, that would be out of our purview to look at that.
Okay,
So,
thank you, sir.
thank you. Does the board have any questions? Yeah, anybody else? I know I don't have any questions about this, so ready for a motion?
I think they meet everything that we've asked for, so I think there'll be some questions they've got moving forward with Board of Health and planning and zoning, I'm sure. So I would move for approval.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Thank you. Next item is DR 25-051-3612, Honey Creek, Section 3.
Good evening, Kevin Sumner with Y Engineers. With me, I have Greg Bentner with Lennar Homes. Honey Creek Farms 3 is in between Section 1 and Section 2 that were previously approved.
Kevin Sumner on the.
Yeah, he's on the.
I can't, I think he's trying to say something. But
Yeah.
Yeah, there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now? Hello? Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, sorry about that. Good evening, Kevin Sumner, Y Engineers. Got Greg Bentner with me with Lennar Homes, and then Garrett Illa is from my office doing a lot of design and drainage. We're here for Honey Creek Farms Section 3. This is in between Honey Creek Farms Section 1 and Honey Creek Farms Section 2, which are both under construction and have been in front of the board previously. Section 3, we've got a drainage outlet into the Honey Creek regulated drain. We also have a sanitary main crossing the legal drain to connect into some existing sanitary that's running on the north side of Honey Creek. This project, that's located north of Smoky Row Road and west or east of Honey Creek Road. So we discussed with Greg this morning. I had some comments about making sure we don't have an asphalt path in the regulated drain. We don't have a problem not having. We can take that off the plans. We had a little bit into it. I think maybe 5 or 10 feet. We were encroaching. We've got room to move that out of the regulated drain, so that's not a problem. And then I think we had a couple other things, Craig. We do have the head wall with the flared head wall shown on our plans for the outlet into the creek, and that's about all I have. I'm here for questions if you have any.
Questions right now, hear what Greg's got to say.
For the record, Greg Cantwell, Johnson County Surveyor. I recommend a conditional approval with 5 conditions. No trail or pathway to encroach into the regulated easement. Any outlet structure within the regulated easement must be at least 25 feet back from the top of bank. The waterway to the ditch should be armored. I have given Burke approval of their final approval letter. I've reviewed it with them. It's just that they haven't got that to us yet. I expect that if it's not in my email now, it'll be there tomorrow. I'd also asked for a construction bond for that work within the easement, including the utility and the grading, and 48 hours notice before entering for construction.
All those conditions can be met.
Yeah, that's fine. Hey, Greg, can you hear me? It's Greg at Lennar.
I can.
Hey, that bond, do you want that before or after?
I would like to have that before so that the attorney can review it.
Sure. Okay, we'll get that engineer's estimate to you for approval and we'll get that bond going. And then my second question is, so Gabe Nelson, Gabriel over at Greenwood had said the last step in our approval process is getting released from you. So we could start construction. With this being a conditional release, are you okay with sending him, Kevin and I, an email saying, hey, Lennar has agreed to this. I released them for construction, even with the conditions?
I can talk to Gabe.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it, Greg.
Okay, so does anyone in the audience have any questions or comments on Honey Creek Section 3? Okay. I have no questions. You guys have any questions?
Question?
Yeah. Wait and see if they got a question. They're conversing.
Go ahead.
Do you guys have questions?
I'm good on my end.
I live at the property.
Hold on, you gotta go to the
You
microphone.
could state your name and address. I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Mickey Wolsifer, 1482 West Smoky Railroad. I live the property east of this Lennar development. Approximately 4 years ago, they tore out Smoky Railroad and raised it 2 feet. And at that point, now our front yard floods terribly. Greenwood's been there, the housing addition across the street's been there, the drainage board's been there. They've all been there and they're like, yep, you got a problem. And that was the end of it. So we're just kind of hoping in this Lennar development, maybe they to the west, my western property, their east on the Smoky Railroad side, maybe they could help us alleviate some of this water. I don't know. It's got nothing to do with your creek deal, which that creek is also on my property or whatever you call that. I call it the creek. I've been there 40 years. So this was all farmland. So now I'm dealing with a whole lot. But I think what you're actually addressing right now has nothing to do with my front yard. I've got pictures. It gets within 20 feet of my house now. I didn't have this before they raised the road 2 feet. Approximately 5 years ago. So
where were you? I'm sorry. This is Kevin with Y Engineers. Where are you located again? What's your address?
You're at 1482 West. I'm the property east of, I don't know what you can.
Kevin, he's the first abutting homeowner to the east of our project.
On the Smoky Row side.
Yes.
Okay.
He's on the north side of Smoky, the first abutting property owner to the east.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just didn't know about even elevation because that property is higher than me, so it contributed to my flooding. So I don't know if we can work together somehow, or if any way that ditch out by the road, we could help alleviate a little of the water I get now off the road, which I know is not your problem. But it was like everybody, we've had this meeting that my flooding now, since they raised the road 5 years ago. They all came up and met and said, yeah, you got a problem. And that was the end of the story. So
we put a yard inlet really close to that property line because I think you may have been at the plan commission meeting or one of the city.
Anything.
Um, I think maybe we heard that there was some issues with your area. So we put a yard inlet, pretty deep right there. I think it's actually already built. Or actually, you know what? It might be with the next section because we're not right up against your property yet.
Yeah.
But we've got a yard inlet right there. I think probably about 5-10 feet off your west property line.
Right.
Does that sound right, Garrett? About 10 feet off his property line, maybe north by 10 or 15
Yeah,
of the street.
that does sound right. That we've put things to try and accept any drainage that come off of your property onto ours.
Right, so I didn't know if we could maybe work together since none of the other people have attempted to help me out any. If you could possibly alleviate some of that out by the road going westward. So maybe we can look at it or get together.
Do you have an address or not an address? Sorry, do you have an email address or a phone number?
Yes, either one. Which one would you prefer?
Probably both would be good.
317-557-7834.
Okay.
And then I should give you my wife's email address because she tends to watch it better. I just like so IND dot you come up there. IN dot DIANA 94 at yahoo.com.
I got IN.DINA94 at yahoo.com.
Oh yeah. Diana. It actually spells it. It actually spells Diana. IN dot DIANA at 94.com.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, 94 at.
Okay. Yeah, I'll show you what we have designed for this next, I think it's section 4. It wouldn't be this section that we're talking about today. But we do have some storm in that area because we noticed it was low as well, just right outside that road.
I did ask one of your workers out there the other day. He says there's that spot, same property line, but a little further to the north that they call a wetland.
Yeah.
And you leave that alone, he said?
Yeah, we'll leave that alone, but we do have some storm sewer in that area as well. So that if that gets too high, then it would drain into that storm.
For years, that drainage has washed out my Holden Western property also.
Yeah.
Come off that field onto me to that creek.
Yeah. Well, we'll get a hold of you. I'll kind of show you what we have going on, and
Great.
I think there might be some opportunity for you maybe to tie a pipe into it or something later down the road. But we'll talk and talk with Greg as well with Lennar.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yep. Thank you.
Joe, this is Greg at Lennar. We'll figure something out.
Yeah,
out in the field, especially down the road. If you can tie in to what we have going on, I mean, really, that would probably be a Greg or possibly a Greenwood type discussion. But on our end, Joe, we don't have an issue with it at all. We'll help out.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I'd like to just talk to somebody about the whole property line, what I can expect or what's happening. So I appreciate everything.
Hey, I have I also have Diana's email. I'll give you my email. It has my personal cell phone number on it as well. You guys can reach out anytime you want. I'll shoot you an email right now.
All right, I appreciate that.
No problem.
Thank you to the board.
Thank you,
everybody.
Yeah, thank you, guys. I move to approve.
With the conditions.
Yeah, with 5 conditions.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Have a good night.
Two. Next item is DR 25-000-3613 Ratcliffe Minor Subdivision.
Richard Hoover, planning engineer, will make this short and sweet. We need to continue this. They were unable to get all of the comments addressed. And just need to know from Roger if we need to re-notify or not.
Is anyone here for that? I would say no, if it comes up the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
So I'd move to grant is it yours or their extension?
It's theirs.
Okay, move for their extension in case we don't get into this back and forth, so.
Yeah.
Move to approve their extension.
Okay, so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item, Sierra 25-014-3614, Sage Briar by Del Webb, section 4.
For the record, Greg Cantwell, Johnson County Surveyor, Sage Briar, section 4. We've approved the master plan on this. This is just a section. It does not directly impact the drain itself. It has been reviewed by our outside engineer and with recommendation for approval.
No conditions?
No condition.
Okay, does anyone in the audience have any questions regarding Sage Briar? Okay.
Okay, I'll move for approval.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Last item on the.
I think we just need to close the meeting and not have the last thing on the agenda.
You were being serious about that.
Yeah, he was being serious. Yeah, that's a big no on that. Yeah.
Okay, last item on the agenda is DR 25-040-3615, humane parking lot expansion, commercial preliminary final.
Hello, I'm Jerry Hornbeck. I'm an agent for the Humane Society. I'm also on the board of the Humane Society. We're requesting a waiver of detention for a parking lot expansion. It's gonna be all gravel. Mr. Hoover's already submitted a letter I think to the board already this afternoon. Our engineers did a calculation. It's a minimal amount, 1.36 cubic feet per second runoff. I think it's well within limitations of the code. So we're just requesting the deviation or waiver of deviation for detention.
For the record, Richard Hoover, Johnson County Planning Engineer. Humane Society is located at 3825 North Graham Road. The site is split into two drainage basins. The larger basin goes around the south side of the property. Then a smaller basin goes to the north. The actual disturbed area is less than an acre, something like 0.4 acres. So the increase in discharges, as Jerry pointed out, is 1.36 CFS for a 100-year storm, which we consider negligible. In addition to that, the city of Franklin will soon install improvements along the east side of Graham Road, extending from the south side of the driveway of the Humane Society north into Canary Ditch. It's a 30-inch concrete pipe. The city of Franklin has already approved the Humane Society improvements without detention. We recommend approval of the project and approval of the waiver.
Does anyone have any questions or comments on this?
I'd move for approval on the waiver and approval on the project.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
They don't have a gravel parking lot. I didn't think she could do that.
Is it gravel?
It sits about gravel. Well,
It's a gravel
the
parking
plan,
lot.
they'll approve that?
Franklin? That would be building standards.
Franklin approved the site. So they were reviewing it basically
Is the meeting
for
fourth? Or is
the
it-
improvements along the road, letting them know about coordinating with it. They approved the site
yeah.
without detention.
I'm not worried, I mean.
Yeah,
I'm just saying,
and it's
just think they could put in a gravel parking lot.
Fitting all those on.
And it's not,
I didn't even
right,
think
it's
it's
city of
yeah.
Franklin jurisdiction.
Okay.
Once every.
Oh,
We
is it
allow that.
unincorporated?
Pardon?
It is unincorporated right there.
Yes.
Enjoy it while it lasts.
Did he own
I
it?
know,
Did he own
I
it?
I know, I gotta check a map all the time.
Yeah. I just
Okay.
didn't.
If it wasn't our jurisdiction.
Okay, so. Sorry, I interrupted.
No,
We can move to adjourn. Or,
I would move to adjourn.
okay. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Post same sign, motion carries. Next meeting is November the 4th.
It's paid for you next time, guys. Bring your money. See.